What is a really inappropriate question you would like an answer to? What height do wheelchair-bound people state in their passports? Why is it called taking a shit when you are actually leaving a shit? I have always wondered if the people that wait for marriage to have sex think it was worth the hype. What is the masturbation policy for astronauts in the space station long term? How the fuck is one supposed to shave their own ass, and is it weird to have to do that? When you take a shit, do you sometimes accidentally cut it short and it feels like there's a bit left in there but you just haven't got the power to push it out? How variable is sexual stamina for most dudes? How do people with no arms wipe their ass? Why is it called a blow job and not a suck job? Is there much variety in the taste of different people's vaginas as there is when some people talk about taste of cum? Like, different acidities, maybe sweetness, saltiness, depending on eating habits and whatnot. If depicting the Prophet Muhammad is offensive to Islam and Muslims, why is it okay to name a person Muhammad? I'm not trying to get into a religious debate, I'm genuinely curious. Edit. I would like to thank everybody who took the time to answer this, here and in private notes. I really appreciate the insight. Question to all the men from a man. When you are taking a leak standing, do you take your balls out of your pants or do you leave them in? And #X200B. Personally I do, whichever option is more socially acceptable depending on which answer is the more popular one. Closing parenthesis. Do identical twins have the same dicks? Edit. Thanks for the awards. Smiling face. Do flamboyant homosexual and more reserved homosexual groups view each other differently? Do they judge each other? What's it like to kill someone? Especially as a soldier in a war. If it changes you, how so? If it didn't, how do that make you feel? Edit. Phone died and now here I am at 2 a.m. reading all these replies. I tried replying to as many as I could write a well thought out reply for, but I appreciate all the stories being told here. It's good for people who have never had to do such a thing to have a good idea of the consequences of war lest we repeat the mistakes of our past. Did boobs have growing pains? Edit. This is my most upvoted comment now. Thanks. Also I now know the answer is, yes, they do a lot. Edit 2. Cliché, thanks for the awards. Edit. But really thanks, this close to being, not only my most upvoted comment, but my most upvoted post. So yeah, thanks again. When multiple ladies go to the bathroom together, is there a code of conduct as to what can and can't be discussed or done, like no juices tour bus rules? Do you shave your pubic hair? Have you always, or is it something new? And if so, why? Almost all you see in porn is bare hooch, and even many of the moms at the pool seem to be bare down there. Granted I'm out of the race now, but I only encountered one in my seemingly average sample size of partners and I just am always curious about this. How much TP do you use? I realize it differs depending on what has come out. But I feel like I use a lot compared to others. I don't know if it's exactly inappropriate, but I've been ashamed to say it basically. Anyways, how do you flirt? What even is it? Can you give me an example? This might seem like a stupid question, but to me I've never ever attempted to flirt, but sometimes it seems like I am flirting, I just don't ever realize it until after. I just don't get it, but I should sooner rather than later. Edit. So, I just opened Reddit and saw that this blew up a bit. I'll definitely read every comment, but I sure as hell can't reply to them all. Thanks for the help though. Is it inappropriate when your doctor insists on having his nurse take your temperature rectally, rather than orally, to refuse? It seems to be embarrassing for both the nurse and patient, even if the reading is according to the doctor, more accurate. How do people with really long nails as in, inch plus long wipe their ass? Edit. I have attained enlightenment. Why can't I get my tampon up far enough? In case folks want to post more such questions or want to see responses for similar questions, head over to Too Afraid to Ask. Am I allowed to say black when describing a person? Like if there are three people all have dark hair, dark eyes, wearing black and the only way to distinguish easy is, the black fellow over there, as in, who do I give my ticket to? I feel uncomfortable saying African American. My step-parent is Jamaican and not African American and it offends her when people say that. When a man ejaculates, does it feel the same as peeing? Women have a vagina separate from the urethra, but men only have the urethra for both functions, so I've always wondered if it feels the same. I've always wondered, like, do deaf people have a voice in their head? You know when you read something to yourself how you can hear your own voice like you probably are right now. I wonder if deaf people have that same thing or not because they can't hear. Edit. Honestly, I love all the responses I've gotten on this because I genuinely had this as a shower thought the other day. For those that don't understand what I'm saying or don't experience it how I do when I read things, like this post or even a book, I kind of read it to myself with an internal voice, no actual verbiage, but it's like I can imagine myself saying the words being typed. I'm sorry if this is confusing, I'm not sure how to explain it. What's a good sex toy to start with as a man? Do guys not go down on girls that often? I go down about 90% of the time, but girls have told me that it doesn't happen a lot. I just always thought every guy did it. Is this on average, or just my small sample size of friends? When blind people trip, do they see things? I get people being transgender. I understand that you can feel as though you don't fit the gender you were born with, but can someone explain non-binary to me? How does a person not identify as anything? Or is it not nothing, but something other? It's a pretty sensitive subject and I've been pretty afraid to ask. Especially on Reddit. Edit. Thanks for all the very informative replies. Why are my boobs suddenly bigger but I have gained no weight at all? Edit. No, I am not pregnant. I am currently bleeding and cramping like crazy for all you people just assuming I'm pregnant. Edit 2. I have never ever been pregnant, so stop assuming I am pregnant. I was pregnant or have had a baby lately. This is a very, very specific one for me. I'm from Northern Ireland, and there was a conflict here called the Troubles. My question is to those who joined paramilitaries, both sides, loyalist and Republican. Why exactly did you join and how you now feel about all the things you've done? Does anyone feel better or care at all when they see a random YouTube comment saying generic positive shit like, whoever reads this, you are special and amazing and I love you, or whatever? Like, I appreciate positive vibes, but positivity rings totally hollow for me in a shotgun approach. I'm always hesitant to ask because I don't want to come off as a grouch. In the movie mid-90s, one of the white kids asks the black kid if black people have to wear sunscreen. The black kid says that is the stupidest question he has ever heard and everyone laughs. But he never answered, and I'm here wondering if black people need to or how bad they get it if they don't. Edit. Roughly 70% of responses I have received say yes, black people absolutely need to wear sunscreen, melanin has very little SPF and dark-skinned people will quickly burn just as easily as light-skinned people. The other 30% say, I'm black and I never wear sunscreen, no biggie, rolling on the floor laughing. Edit. I'm a guy. Period. How much blood are we talking about? For how many days? What do you guys do when it happen? And how can you track it? This should be a weekly thing, to be honest. Why can't everyone just shut the fuck up and get along? Can everyone else smell periods or is it just my superpower? If childbirth is so painful and does so much damage to the body, why do you keep having them? Especially when all parents do is complain about how tired, broke or stressed they are, and some even regret having children. Why is there a seam on the ballsack? I was sexually molested by my neighbor, who was 30 when I was 11, but I remember enjoying it and I didn't want him to stop. I haven't told anyone yet and I'm not sure whether to keep it between us because I'm gay and my community is very homophobic, or speak out since he did have sex with a minor is a crime and he could have had more victims who didn't enjoy it. Can black people be born with red hair? Edit. For all people who ask why I find the question is inappropriate. Doesn't matter if people are black or white. You shouldn't distinguish between black, white, yellow etc. Humans are humans. This makes the question inappropriate in my opinion. Is it scary losing your virginity? Can you puncture the inside of your asshole with a dildo? Very nervous bout bottoming even though it's something I want and that thought gets me anxious as hell lol. I am not a native English speaker, so that might help you understand why I ask such a stupid thing. What the hell do you say when you are using the bathroom and someone knocks on the door? Here's some popcorn for the people who aren't commenting but are scrolling through looking at their questions being answered by others. Popcorn, 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 popcorn. I've learned a lot from this post. Thank you guys. For women who practice extended breastfeeding, for the sake of my question, let's say beyond 4 years old, is there an age where you would think it was no longer appropriate? I should say that I am a huge proponent of breastfeeding. I have 3 children and nursed each of them until they self-weaned at 18 months. I don't judge someone who decides to nurse for as long as they see fit. However, I see a lot of posts from women who feel very strongly about nursing their 5-year-olds, and they always mention that they will wean whenever the child wants, and that it's perfectly normal. I've always been curious whether for those women, they would feel like it was no longer appropriate at a certain point. And if so, what is that point? Edit. EWW, tit is such a gross word. Does anyone with trauma, mental pain ever feel like telling everyone about what happened, because of how crushing it is inside? Edit. I'm so glad that there are others like me, who find it near impossible to keep one's trauma and guilt bottled up. Thank you all. Some people of Indian descent have a very distinctive smell, reminding me of cumin. Would it be the delicious food that's affecting their sweat? Or simply food smell stuck to their clothes, hairs? A couple Indian co-workers, back before home office conditions, would arrive in the morning and you can smell them clearly as they pass behind you, before you see it's them. So I'm thinking it's their beau that has that cumin, spicy smell to it to be so noticeable even in the morning.